All right, CNT140. We're going to take a minute and show you some project planning for your, I should say your Gantt chart for your project plan for the BidSpec. An easy way to do this is most of us already have Draw.io installed in our Google Drive. So I'm logged into my Google Drive here, 140 folder. I'm going to go in here and go to my app of Draw.io, open that up. And I should have an option here to actually put a generic Gantt chart up that I can edit, and I think it's under like tables. They have a fancy one here. I can go with a relatively simple one here, this one right here, Gantt chart here, and say I want to create that, and that'll give me a little shell, if you will, that I can edit. This is a real quick way to do our Gantt chart, and this is just a real basic format, enough to get the idea across. And if you remember when we talked in class, my main focus is these tasks over here on the left. So what we'll do is brainstorm and get a couple in here and say, okay, the first thing I want to do to install my cabling is I need to install my cable trays. So install cable trays. I'll go down here to the next block, and after I install my cable trays, I will, pull the horizontal cable. Actually, I'll do install closet equipment. Actually, I'll do install on closet racks. I'll be a little more specific. And then I'll say down here, install closet equipment, because that would be maybe two separate steps that I might do. Then I'll do pull horizontal cable. And then I'll come down here and I'll say pull backbone cable, and so forth. And I'll work my way through and get a series of tasks here. And again, this is my main focus. Try to get these, think about these, and get these in order. With this little template here, as I run out of spaces, just kind of highlight this, paste it, and I'll need to kind of slide it up here until it sticks to the one above it, and do that until I get a couple more tasks. Yeah, it's kind of low tech, but it gets the job done. I'll do the same thing down here. I'll kind of do these till I get a couple more, and I might need to do the same thing here too. Control C, Control V, paste a couple more over here, and so forth. All right. The next thing I want to do is I want to estimate. You notice this one does it by month, so this is nice and easy. I could say, okay, I'm going to start installing, and I'm going to drag this over. Maybe I'll start in the February time frame, or we're in the spring, so maybe we'll slide this over here, and we're going to say we're going to start on May, and I'm going to install my cable trays, and I'm going to give myself a month to do that. So I will slide this over and say I'll do this over a month. And then while I'm installing the trays, one of my team can also be installing the closet equipment. While that's going on, somebody in my team can also be installing the rack equipment. Then I'll say, all right, after that gets done, maybe after 2 weeks, I can actually start on pulling my horizontal cable. I'll give myself a little time to do that. Same thing with my backbone cable. And you can see very quickly I can show my timeline on how to do this. Obviously, finish this through, get your tasks in here. Again, I'm interested in the task, thinking through the kinds of things that we talked about. Installing the cabling, terminating the user end, terminating the patch panel, testing the cabling, troubleshooting the cabling, certifying the cabling, that kind of thing. So get those in there. When you're done, obviously up here, give this thing a rename. So give this a good name, CNT140 Gantt chart, something like that. And I'm going to put Spring 18 behind mine, just so I know. And then I'm actually going to take a minute and make sure this gets to the right folder. So I'm going to say move to folder, make sure it gets to my 140 folder, make sure it gets to my BidSpec folder. Actually, there we go. I'll say BidSpec Spring 18. Awesome. Now it should be in that folder. Once it's all nice and neat and I have my tasks in here and my times approximated, do the best you can on the approximation. What I'll do is I will also come in here and say File, and I want to do an export as. I'll do an export as like a PDF and say export, and I'm going to put it right back on my Google Drive, right back in my folder. That way it's there. And what I should see when I'm done, this will take a minute to update itself, but what I should see is my Gantt chart here. Here's what I did previously. There would be my PDF of my Gantt chart. Now I have this file that I can download and submit to D2L. So here's a real easy way to make a Gantt chart, less cumbersome than the other way I was showing you. This might be other ways I've shown people before. This could be an easy way to get a Gantt chart made for your project very quickly.